Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we're going to finish a section tonight. Get ready for a new section tomorrow. It's still both the same chapter. Okay. This evening verse is text 30, and be prepared for hearing an overview of the first 30 verses in the commentary. And it's all about bhakti. Bhakti this and bhakti that. Mixed bhakti, pure bhakti, rejecting gyan in favor of bhakti. Bhakti, bhakti. Okay, translation. My dear Lord, Brahma says, you know the context. This is Lord Brahma offering prayers to Krishna in Vrindavan. You know the context? A little bit? Should I give a little context? You know who is Lord Brahma? Yes or no? Yes. So Krishna appears in the earthly realm once in Brahma's day, which is a long period of time. So Brahma went to pay his respects to Krishna in Vrindavan. What he saw was astonishing. He saw Krishna give liberation to a giant serpent, 12-mile long serpent. And he saw how the whole thing happened. He was in the air above, looking down, seeing from his vimana, his swan carrier. And when the cowherd boys, after Agasura was liberated, they were having lunch. And Brahma became curious. I have mystic powers. What's the extent of Krishna's mystic powers? So let me show some of my mystic powers and see what Krishna will do. It was a mistake. And then further mistake was he kidnapped first the calves and then the cowherd boys to see what Krishna would do. He used his mystic power to do that. Put them in a cave. He came back to see what Krishna would do, and there he saw the calves and the cowherd boys. He was bewildered, so he went back and they were in the cave. So he went back and they were having lunch. Krishna wanted to respond to Brahma's curiosity. He showed him there's no limit to my mystic powers. And in this way, Krishna simultaneously manifested himself in identical forms with each calf and each cowherd boy. And he then showed equal number simultaneously, a cowherd boy in the form of Narayan, and another cowherd boy in another form. And there's lots of cowherd boys and lots of calves, each one a form of Narayan, surrounded by each one of the unlimited potencies of Narayan personified, all singing praises of the Supreme Lord. And then simultaneously, so many universes, as many as there were calves and cowherd boys. And then poof, they all disappeared. Brahma fainted and paid obeisances and offered prayers. We've been reading his prayers, and we're up at text 30, and we're going to hear what some of the earlier prayers before text 30 says, right in the commentary. But this verse ends a section where the greatness of Krishna, the greatness of the opulences of Krishna are explored or glorified. And then starting the very next verse, he's going to describe the sweetness feature of Krishna. Sweetness feature meaning the intimacy of love of the residents, between Krishna and the residents in Vrindavan. So on the one side, he's the Supreme Lord. On the other side, he does not disclose his divinity to the residents of Vrindavan by his spiritual potency. He covers their understanding of him in that way by his spiritual potency, because they have a very special kind of love, a sweetness kind of love, where they really don't care whether he's, God or not God. They just have such intense love for him. Because they have that love for him, he conceals his majesty or almightiness or unlimited opulences from their consciousness, although he many times displays powers that are not human. But they have some other way of processing what they see or experience, because their love is so strong. So that's another feature of, aside from almighty, he is all-pleasing, all-sweet. And that's what the next section is going to describe. So this is the end of the almighty, or the opulences, in various ways. It's discussed. Madhumangal, do you hear that sound? Do you hear a sound? You don't hear the sound. A buzz. That's the refrigerator. A bathroom in the refrigerator in the bathroom. It's a sound from the bathroom. Okay, but it stopped. Okay. Text 30, translation. My dear Lord, I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life as Lord Brahma, or in another life, wherever I may take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. I pray that whatever I may be, even among the animal species, I may engage in devotional service to your lotus feet. One of the words in this Sanskrit is nishave. It's going to come up a few times in the commentary. Means I may fully engage in service. Nishave. There's another word that comes up several times in the Sanskrit is tirashcham, means among the animals. And somehow they get a deer out of the animal. Tirashcham. So he wants bhakti. And so the translation sounds something similar to the Shikshastaka verse. Mama janmani shri bhavatad bhakti rahaitikvi. Whatever happens, let me engage in your unalloyed devotional service. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in his commentary. Interesting. O Brahma, fresh jewel of all knowers of sadhya and sadhana. Sadhya means the goal of sadhana, the goal of spiritual practice. The best of all knowers of the goal of spiritual practice and spiritual practice. What is your desire? After describing jnana and bhakti in your prayers, O Brahma, O Master, indicating he wants to be a servant. O Brahma, consider carefully and pray for the most valuable thing. Brahma, yes, I have discerned the most auspicious thing of all, buddhi, Bhaga. Whether I am born as Lord Brahma, or whether I am born in low species such as deer, Tira Sharam, same word again, some animal species, for many births with no desire for liberation, since I will lose chances to attain bhakti. That is, if I'm hankering for liberation, I'm not hankering for bhakti. If I'm hankering for bhakti, I don't need to hanker for liberation. I'm not asking for liberation. Rather, whenever birth I have, from the highest to lowest, I pray to take birth as one among your followers, whether advanced or neophyte. Now here's a summary of the first 30 verses. In the first verse of this chapter, Brahma expresses the excellence of the Lord's sweetness, which is now the topic of text 31, the next section. Sweetness means his intimate exchanges of love in Vrindavan. And Brahma expresses the appreciation for that. Because he saw at least a portion of it with the cowherd boys. They're having a blast. Kutta Punya Punja. They're just playing with Krishna. Brahma knows Krishna is God, and some of these boys they're just playing with him. How intimate is that relationship? In the second and 13th verse, he praises the Lord's power. And Brahma exhibits a mixture of bhakti and gyan. In the third verse, Gyane Prayasam, he concludes that bhakti is superior. Notice it's all about bhakti. In the 8th verse, he shows the supremacy of pure or Kevala bhakti to Krishna. And the 27th, and then back in the 19th verse, he derives Kevala Gyan. In the 4th and 5th verse, Brahma shows the uselessness of Kevala Gyan and the success of Kevala Bhakti. In the 28th and 29th verse, this is number 30, he discusses Gyan mixed with Bhakti. Yes, he does. In the 24th verse, he discusses Shanta Bhakti. Shanta, you know the meaning, Shanta? You know Shanti? Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So Shanta Bhakti is neutrality. Like the land, or a rock, or in some inert object, but there's attraction for Krishna. The wishing to serve Krishna so he can step on me or something like that. Or the water, the Jamuna water, like that. And in the 13th verse, he discusses Dasya Bhakti. After this, starting with this verse 31st one, next verse, Brahma, having fallen in the ocean of Krishna's sweetness, praises the devotees immersed in raga, of parental affection, and other intimate relationships. This is the outline of Brahma's prayers. Probably worth it going through that again. Not like so you can remember the numbers, but these are the topics. Bhakti and different features and less perfect, more perfect, most perfect features. Where bhakti is neglected, total by Kevala Gyan or absolute speculation. I'll read it again. It's a short paragraph. In the first verse of this chapter, Brahma expresses the excellence of the Lord's sweetness. In the second and 13th verse, he praises the Lord's power, which exhibits a mixture of bhakti and gyan, or Brahma's exhibiting a mixture of Brahma and gyan. In the third verse, namely Jnane Prayasam verse, he concludes that bhakti is superior between bhakti and Gyan. In the eighth verse, he shows the supremacy of pure or Kevala bhakti. Kevala means absolute. Absolute, nothing but squeaky clean bhakti to Krishna. Supremacy. In the 27th and the 19th verse, he derides Kevala Gyan, or absolute speculation. In the 4th and 5th verses, Brahma shows the uselessness of Kevala Gyan and the success of Kevala Bhakti. In the 28th and 29th verses, two preceding ones, he discusses Gyan mixed with Bhakti. In the 24th verse, he discusses Shanta Bhakti, and in the 13th verse, he discusses Dasya Bhakti. After this, from the 31st verse, Brahma, having fallen into the ocean of Krishna's sweetness, praises the devotees immersed in raga, or parental affection, and other intimate relationships. This is the outline of Brahma's prayers. Okay. Jiva Goswami writes, we're going to read two more, Jiva and then Sanatan. Jiva writes, I have received mercy, Brahma says, by which I received knowledge of your powers, by which I have begun worship, by which I have had a direct meeting with you. Remember that sequence? Did you hear the morning class? Let's see. You recall? Yes, thanks. Because from the previous two verses, there was just even with a fragment of mercy, lesha, fragment, speck of mercy, one can understand Krishna. So through mercy comes knowledge. From knowledge comes worship. From worship comes realization. So it's being said again. I have received mercy, by which I received knowledge of your powers, by which I have begun worship, by which I have had a direct meeting with you. This has happened so quickly. Therefore, I pray to you. It should be understood that until the end of the chapter, these prayers are a form of offering respects, ultimately, to the form of Krishna. O Lord, fulfiller of all desires, Nata, Lord, Master, the good fortune of attaining the position of Brahma is not great. But it is a great fortune, Bhuri Bhaga, that one person, namely myself among many, can serve with full dedication, Nisheva, that I can serve with full devotion your lotus feet. I am not eager to be born elsewhere, in a dear body, but I desire to be born as a devotee of some sort in Braja. Service in a dear body in Braja consists of licking the dust of the Lord's limbs with affection. He prays for this after seeing such actions. Paragraph. The last verse, I guess that means the last verse of the chapter, and this verse may be taken together. Though some are fortunate to understand your glories by a particle of mercy, that means the previous verse. Though some are fortunate to understand your glories by a particle of mercy, what would happen if full mercy were shown? I could then be some devotee among your many associates. Particles of mercy have a way of expanding. Final, Sanatan Goswami, and it's even shorter. Your mercy results in becoming your servant. Brahma prays to be a servant. O Lord, who fulfills all desires, Nataha. By the fortune of attaining Brahmaloka, there is no great fortune. By taking birth among your devotees, there is the great fortune, Bhuribhaga. For me, the eldest son, that is the best placement. I should be born as one among your devotees and serve with full dedication, Nisheve, your lotus feet, being born as Brahma or elsewhere, or in Braja, or elsewhere can simply modify in an animal body, because that's also in the verse. But that is not my interest. I should have bhakti. Or your mercy should produce service to your devotees. Let me be born as one among your new devotees, Bhavat Jananam, and serve the lotus feet of your associates. He's naturally, to achieve that position of Brahma. In one place it says, there's other places that give descriptions, but one place says 100 lifetimes of flawless observance of Varnashram. Try like 1 hour. Flawless Varnashram Dharma. 100 lifetimes. So he's very elevated, dharmically, and to do something like that, to control the mind, control the senses, strong dedication of self to the Supreme Person. He's qualified to receive Vedic knowledge and distribute Vedic knowledge to everyone. And his conclusion is, I want to be your devotee. Now he's made an offense and there's no indication from Krishna that he's going to spank him or reprimand him or have him take birth again and again for his offense or anything like that. But he's not seeking liberation. He's seeking devotional service. So therefore, he is explicitly, if you wish, if it's your indication to me to take birth here, there, or wherever, my only request is association of your devotees, the opportunity to access devotional service. Even if it's in an animal body. That's pretty extreme. I don't think too many devotees are volunteering. If you want to put me in an animal body, it's fine with me. But there are similar prayers by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Let me be born in whatever the species, even a dog, in the home of a devotee. It's similar to Brahma's prayers. I think it's extracted from Brahma's prayers. But it's the same mood. Back to Jiva Goswami's commentary. Although Krishna hasn't said it, he is, reading Krishna's mind, so to speak. Krishna's wanting to ask Brahma, you're such a nice devotee of mine. Ask for anything and it's yours. And he doesn't ask for liberation. because many people, that's what they want, liberation. Like, let me out of here. It's really crazy. It's getting crazier all the time. So that liberation aspiration is not Brahma. He is a devotee, and because he is a devotee, he can understand something about Krishna. Those that don't have bhakti can't understand anything about Krishna. They can understand, to some extent, they can understand Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, by the Gyan process at best. Then there's, in these pairs, so many reputations of that Gyan conception. I mean, our Acharyas offer that explanation. And Brahma is not going specifically into the impersonal conception looks like this or that, but he's rejecting it in principle to understand transcendence, and then the supreme, Jiva, Paramatma, Bhagavan, Krishna says Swayam Bhagavan. He's not rejecting knowledge, but he's not simply aspiring for knowledge. He's aspiring for bhakti, because bhakti gives rise to knowledge. Knowledge of that which is beyond the capacity of mind and senses to reach. It does. The verse reminds me of Shikshastika. Nadanam, najanam, sundari. Lord Chaitanya's prayer. Do you know Lord Chaitanya, the Shikshastika verses? Have you heard of them? Really? Where'd you hear of them? Yes. Yes, until the last chapter.
So in that one, there was one lecture. I'm very bad with names, so I forgot the Prabhuji who was giving the lecture. It was a Saturday afternoon lecture, and he was talking about those verses and the Shikshashtakam. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I went.
You've been introduced. They're very profound. It's reciting them and meditating on them, and all kinds of nice things keep coming, fresher, newer, nice things come from them. They're very important verses. So one of those important verses is Lord Chaitanya praying, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want the other thing. I only want your devotional service. Birth after birth. I don't want liberation either. I want devotional service. So if devotional service comes in the spiritual realm, or in the material realm, or in whatever species or whatever circumstance, just please give me devotional service. That is a desire, and that's Brahma's desire. Association of devotees means devotional service. Devotional service means, Krishna will send devotees, even if you have to make your own devotee association. Okay, so let's see if there's some discussion. 7 o'clock. Yeah.
One thing that you said is that Lord Brahma's conclusion after the 100 lifetimes of flawless Dharma, becoming qualified to be Lord Brahma, and then recipient of the Vedic wisdom is, I want to be a devotee.
Yes.
And so my assumption is that his conclusion of I want to be a devotee is because Lord Brahma is pure intelligence.
Yes.
So his conclusion, I want to be a devotee, is of a superior quality or grade to, let's say, someone like me saying I want to be a devotee. Is that correct?
Well, it's less mature, more mature, or the other way around. But it's different in maturity, but it's not different in principle. A seed and a tree that's bearing flowers and fruits and seeds are different stages of the same thing.
So then with that, Lord Brahma is saying that with a much clearer understanding of what that statement even means.
Oh, yeah. He's already an exalted devotee. He's like very much trusted and empowered devotee, servitor of the Lord. And direct darshan of Krishna in his Braja form, engaging in pastimes with his Braja associates, that's very special. And it's transformational. His bhakti has just took a big quantum jump. Although he's the most exalted person before that. Yeah. Madam Uncle. Where are the wipes? Who has them? We got one. Keep them handy.
Thank you.
Go ahead. He hits his
While
ahead.
you were narrating the previous verses covered also, along with explaining Rituja Mataji the context of this verse, the background, my thought went to how Lord Brahma appears to be having a sense of security in his relationship with Krishna, that it doesn't seem like he's concerned about, oh, I have made this mistake. What's the punishment that's awaiting me, as you have explained? Rather, he is concentrating on whatever may be the outcome. I just want to be your devotee. I'm just thinking out that because on an individual level, there is a conditioned nature, and that conditioned nature permeates the spiritual relationships also. That when there is some mistake or offensive mentality that comes in, the very first thing is to defend or to probably try to avoid the whatever may be the outcome.
Minimize.
And my I think wanted to find out or ask you, sometimes the person may not be ready to face the consequence, or feeling maybe it's an awkward thing, or I'm not ready to go through the steps of purification.
Mm-hmm.
Does Krishna know that a person is not there in that state yet, so the purification stage may be delayed?
Well, Krishna knowing is one thing, because he's omniscient. But Krishna's knowing doesn't predicate, okay, we'll have it happen later. He may have it happen sooner, rather than even on schedule. So his omniscience doesn't determine the pace of purification, or the unfolding of the sequences of purification. He may, and he may not.
From our side, is it okay to seek that security in the relationship with Krishna, thinking or hoping that let my devotion grow, and based on that strength, hopefully I can deal with the circumstance.
Yeah, there's one of so many options.
I mean,
Don't run and hide though. It's easy to say later, and it becomes forever later. Oh.
Yes.
Shravana Mangala.
Guru Maharaj, the point you mentioned, when one receives mercy, through mercy comes knowledge, through knowledge comes worship, through worship comes realization. I really like that flow. I'm trying to understand categories of mercy in it. I had a conception, mercy itself is a realization. Maybe I need to reconfigure, but I want to hear from you.
One may be getting mercy and not have a realization one's getting mercy.
Example.
The sun is shining.
Mm.
And I may not be conscious of I'm getting mercy because the sun is shining.
So therefore, one who is not conscious of getting mercy, he won't be having a realization of knowledge.
Don't make it complicated. Keep it simple. Get eager for mercy. When mercy comes, one of the symptoms that mercy has come is knowledge will strengthen. Now, mercy means, in one sense, mercy means bhakti because knowledge arises from bhakti. The mercy means. We heard that twice. Attaining the lotus feet in that particular circumstance means bhakti. Mercy means bhakti in practical how it plays out. You get mercy. You get now. So bhakti, it comes in the form of worship and then realization. Okay. You have something? No? Okay. Over here. Online people feel left out when we don't call on them.
Radhika's question. Since there are multiple Lord Brahmas, is it correct to understand that it is this Lord Brahma who is praying to be so fortunate to take his birth as one of Krishna's devotees, who takes his birth as Namacharya Haridas Thakur?
Is it correct to understand that the Brahma who is offering this prayer is the same Brahma who became Haridas Thakur? That's not known. Maybe, maybe not.
If so, this is such a wonderful exhibition of Krishna's reciprocation with a sincere prayer for the intimate relationship Lord Chaitanya shared with Haridas Thakur.
Yeah.
Is heart melting.
Yes.
Just to comment on that, Maharaj, didn't Bhaktivinoda Thakur say that it was the Brahma it committed this mistake, and then
But which Brahma? That's her question.
yeah.
Okay.
This is from Srinidhi from Houston.
Sanchari's sister.
I'm trying to understand your explanation of Lord Brahma's statement. I want to be a devotee. You had stated that it shows a difference in maturity, but not on principle. I'm trying to understand if that desire to be a devotee and serve is consistent across different devotional experiences or levels of devotion.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. One question is about Shantaras.
About
Shantaras.
Shantaras.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it like for non-movable object or something like that? What is the difference with Dasya Ras and Shantaras? Because both them want to serve.
It's passive adoration as opposed to active service. The main distinction. In the prayers that we read, there was this explanation. It kind of was repeated several times. Those who are yogis who engage in meditation on Paramatma and have a tinge of bhakti, they may attain this neutrality or Shantarasa, Shantarati. We find, however, that Krishna even is so merciful and so bountiful that he provokes or stimulates those in Shantarasa to ecstasy. The rocks melt and the waves stand still, and the waves reach their arms up in the air to catch some dust from Krishna. This is in chapter 35 of Canto 10. So even those in Shantarasa, they're not doing some service, but they experience ecstasy in Krishna's association. So it's the distinction between Shanta and Dasya is that it's veneration with awe, in contrast to being stimulated by actual direct service. Okay?
Maharaj, one more thing. I just want you to introduce me to Shikshashtakam as well. Can you speak something about the prayers? I would like to listen from you.
You want to hear about which prayers?
Shikshashtakam.
Shikshashtakam.
Yeah.
Well, they're lovely prayers. They're very deep and profound. Yeah. Something for a practicing devotee and an intermediate devotee and an advanced devotee, but starting with even the beginning devotee, is Shikshastaka 3. Those 4 points, according to what Lord Chaitanya says and according to subjective experience as well, by these 4 qualities or characteristics of approaching Krishna's holy name: humility, tolerance, offering respect to others, no expectation of what will come back. Those are qualifications for getting a taste in the holy name. Or conversely, if any of them are weak, any of those 4 are weak, then the taste will also be weak or negligible. So the purpose of the practice of bhakti is not to get something, but in a relationship with Krishna, some stimulation of ecstatic love is there. And we want to have that loving feeling get stronger. And the nature of our service be also uninterrupted. So the whole of Shikshastika, just taking it in a broad sense, the whole of the Shikshastika is a roadmap to go from where you are today to the highest perfection. That's what Chaitanya Shikshastika is. Step by step, it's a GPS to get you to the topmost perfection that a living entity can achieve. It's very elevated. It's very elevated. But it begins quite simply. Yes.
So Maharaj, in today's class, we are hearing that Lord Brahma is seeking for mercy. That no matter, please keep me as your servant, even if it is in an animal body, whatever it is, now just engage me in your service. So I was thinking that while as a practicing devotee, we are also, once in a while even thinking about, please make me your servant, or just give me your service. But then there is also this fear of, we don't know how the mercy will come, and it seems like I'm not ready for taking any kind of mercy coming from Krishna. So I just wanted to seek your guidance, like how we can be prepared for give any kind of mercy, Krishna, I'm ready for it. It seems to be
It's
like
gradual.
really high.
How to prepare is just you don't bite off more than you can chew. You take steps that are in that direction that you can take. Don't pretend, don't imitate. You prematurely take 10 steps and you go back 20 steps. So go step by step in incremental fashion towards what you understand and you feel is right, and you're not, but I know I'm not prepared, so let me go at least one step, like that.
So,
Did that answer your question?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it okay to tell Krishna that I'm not ready for everything, although I'm asking for mercy, but even I'm not ready for
Well, you have a relationship, and he knows before you tell him. But you disclose your heart, sure. But then it's what he does with that is up to him, because he's independent and we're dependent. No, he's not going to. His nature doesn't force, but he does show kindness, and as well he knows our capacity, as well as our willingness, unwillingness. It's something that it's said, and it's something that there's a realization. Krishna will never put one in a challenging situation beyond their capacity to perform. He doesn't give his devotees tests they can't pass. There may have to be some stretch to pass the test, but that's good. Not too much, but some stretch is good. He knows the limits, the capacity. Okay, do we have more online? One more.
Amar Mataji, what should we practically do to open our heart for seeing and receiving Guru and Krishna's mercy?
I heard this question from her a couple of days ago, didn't you? Same question. Find a Vaishnava living or within scriptures, or both, that inspire you, and hear about them, remember them, glorify them. In this way, associate with them, and that quality will become your quality. So you want the open heart to receive mercy, then follow the procedure. It's sadhu sangha through sound. Yes?
Radhika asks, we see deep repentance being exhibited by Lord Brahma at having offended Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
He offers heartfelt glorifications and prayers and makes a firm resolve to move forward with his service,
Yes.
dedicating his body, mind, and words. Some mistakes we make might not be blunders, yet in the assembly of Vaishnavas, if sensitivities are overlooked, Krishna may become very displeased with us. Coming from ruffian, uncultured upbringing, it is not easy to become sensitive. Besides addressing ourselves to the Vaishnava, will you please clarify how a Vaishnava aspires for truly heart-based, lasting repentance upon having committed mistakes?
This question is a longer version of the previous question. The short answer is purity. Well, the converse. Without purity, it won't be long-lasting and genuine. So we strive for purity, with as much sincerity as we can, and avoid complacency. But with the same, association with qualified persons, and then you're in good shape. You'll progress steadily and regularly in that good association. Okay?
I just want to make one comment.
Okay.
The word nisheve, or nisheva, it's Brahma is using the same word in sannyas mantra spoken by Avanti Brahmana, that etam sasthaya paratmanishtam, and it ends with kundam
Nishevayava.
nishevayeva. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not exactly a sannyas mantra, but it's a prayer. Yeah. Sure. I'm getting a signal. It's time to end. Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhupada.